Hello and welcome back to Love with Intelligence, where we deep dive into all things relationships and dating so you can enjoy real, honest, and genuine love that lasts. If you haven't already, go ahead, click the subscribe button, click the bell, and you'll be notified of all our new videos. I'm going to share with you my top 5 red flags that I share with my clients so they avoid dating the wrong person. This is so important because red flags can be spotted in the first few messages, in the first phone call, and even on the first date. So this means if you're able to catch these early on, you don't have to waste time dating the wrong one. So here's my 5 red flags that I'll share with you today. Okay. So, if you've been watching for a while, you will know that this is one of my main things, the lack of empathy. Empathy is like the cornerstone to a relationship. If you do not have empathy, you do not have a relationship. So let's talk about the signs that you need to recognize if someone does not have empathy. First things first, look at their emotional reactions to things. If there's no emotional reaction to your story, so whether you share something sad or you share something happy, see how they emotionally respond. And we're not talking about the words that they're using. We're not talking about the things that they do. We're talking about, the way that they react, the emotional response to what you are sharing with them. This is super, super important to be able to recognize because when we think about toxic personality types like narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, they have a lack of empathy, especially narcissists and psychopaths. And this is because the empathy part of the brain is actually underdeveloped, which means that they will never be able to learn empathy and they'll never be able to have a healthy relationship with anyone because the motivation is not there for them to be a good partner, to be self-aware, to actually think about the emotional impact that they are having on their partner. So look for the emotional response from those people, okay, from your potential dating partners. The other thing that you can look for when it comes to empathy, especially on dating profiles, is have a look at their emotional range. If their face looks like, a photo that you'd expect on a prison file, and it's like that consistently throughout their dating profile pictures, so they're not smiling, they're not really reacting, then there could be something up there. I will share another video on this so you can see exactly what I mean by this. But this is actually a really good way to be able to find out if someone is a narcissist or a toxic personality type or has low empathy in the first few initial stages. 2, they turn things sexual very quickly. Often I find of people with very low levels of empathy or people who are not really looking for a romantic long-term relationship is they'll turn things to sex very, very quickly. Now, it's not to say that you can't have a frisky conversation and nothing's going to turn out long term, but it's more about, are they keeping everything super superficial? Are they always returning things to sex? Are they actually allowing you to understand who they are? Or are they hiding behind sex and, those types of conversations? Because the truth is, there's no depth, there's no intimacy, and no trust that can be built if the relationship is just about sex. And the problem is, most people get caught up in it because it's exciting, because it's naughty, because it's a bit taboo and a bit novelty to be able to explore those conversations. But the thing is, if you fully focus on those things when it comes to relationship, you are going to miss out on being able to have real trust, real intimacy, and real love. Is everyone else the problem? Now, listen to the way that they talk about other people. This can give you a huge insight on the way that they see themselves and the way that they see people. People with low levels of empathy and people who are quite narcissistic will often look at other people as either resources or the problem. So if you can hear the way they talk about someone, it's usually, when it comes to a red flag, it's usually their usefulness or they're an awful person, they don't get it, they're thick, they're bad in some sort of way. A really good way to be able to see if someone has low levels of empathy or is more on the narcissistic scale is actually ask them about their past relationships. Now, when you ask someone about their past relationships, you can see whether they're able to take accountability for anything that went wrong in that relationship, and also how they talk about their past partners. Usually, healthy relationships, there's a good level of, just wasn't the right person, we just grew apart, and there's that kind of conversation. Narcissists, they tend to turn around and say, oh yeah, she was crazy, she was this, she was that, and they really, really start to dig into the personality of their partner, which is not a good sign. And the other thing that tends to happen is, well, this is the other thing to actually recognize. If the person has generally just had bad relationships, they're able to say, oh yeah, that partner was not a very good partner, but they can also share that they were, a bit naive going into that relationship and things like that. So they're accountable for the things that they have done wrong. That's the positive trait. Those that are more narcissistic or have low levels of empathy are unable to be accountable for the things that they've done wrong. So when you listen to them talking about everyone else, they're usually a bad person, or they're a bad person, or they are a resource in some sort of way. Okay, there's usually not a level of, oh yeah, I really like so and so because we go and play football together, or we go and do this, or we go and do that. It's more, oh wow, look at this person, they've got a big business, they've got so much money, and they tend to be more positive about the resource and usefulness of that character versus being able to connect and talk about that person as a human. They don't take no for an answer. This is often a tricky one for some people to understand because love has been romanticized in a way that you have to fight for love and you have to do all these different things and you have to earn for that chance for a relationship. Please. Um, but if you have someone who genuinely won't take no for an answer, that won't be rejected by you, then that's a real sign that there could be quite narcissistic traits there. It's quite interesting with narcissists or people with low levels of empathy, they don't see people as people. They often see people as resources. So they tend to disregard any elements of that person's individuality. They see a person or a potential partner as something to control. So you might have saw Maths, the UK version. I can't remember the names, but there was a sociopathic narcissist on there, and he often used the language of "I let her." So they tend to have very controlling language around their relationships and the way that they see their partners. So if there is no respect for your individuality and your autonomy, then that is a big red flag. If someone's saying, no, I can't go on a date tonight, and they're going, no, you need to go, I'm going to come and see you, I'm going to get in the car anyway and drive to you and all this kind of stuff, that is a huge red flag. They're not respecting your boundaries, they're not respecting you as a person. Even though you might be flattered that they're making the effort, this is a big red flag. I mean, even with my own experience, I had someone send me 12 pink roses via Interflora, like expensive roses. And that was because I ignored them on their messages. They didn't even have my address. They managed to find all that out. So that was a big red flag in terms of boundaries. But the problem is not everyone recognizes this because of something called Robert Cialdini's, what's their influences or something like that. So basically, if someone gives you something or does something for you, you feel the need to reciprocate in some sort of way. I will get my teeth back in a moment. So it can cause you to feel guilty or feel like you need to be able to give something back, like you owe them something. So it's really important to be able to stick to your guns. If you're saying no to something or you've not given permission for something, then do not give in to these personality types, because these are the types of personalities that if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. The fifth one is they're very self-focused. They're very focused on the way that they come across. They're very self-focused on, their accolades, the things that they've done. They love to be able to paint the picture of who they are as a person. And that's a huge red flag. If someone has to describe to you that they're an honest person or they're a well-respected person or whatever it may be, that's a huge red flag. Actions speak louder than words. So if you've got someone telling you who they are and the conversation's very much about them and their experiences, big red flag, but often missed, because obviously when you're dating, you're getting to know someone. So what I want you to notice here is how the conversation flows. Are they constantly talking about them, or are they giving you airtime too to talk about you without them bringing it back to themselves constantly? So if you're not seeing, roughly 50-50 when it comes to conversations, and you're seeing more 80% them talking about themselves and only giving you 20%, that is something to be concerned about. So be aware. And then I would say, as a little bit of a bonus one, I'm going to give you here, is notice how you feel. Okay, this one is huge. If I could tell everyone something that's super, super important when it comes to dating and red flags, trust your gut. If something feels off, something feels wrong, stop. Don't hang around to find out what happens. Your body is fantastic at reading so many different things that you might have not consciously picked up on. Your body will be reading things subconsciously. So if something feels off, leave that date well alone, okay? And trust your gut. That is super important. And that advice alone will save lives. So please be aware, if something feels off, please just let that date go. It's not meant to be, and that's okay. So, if this video was useful to you, then please give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, and we'll be super grateful to be able to share more useful content to you. And also, if you have any questions or if you've got any red flags that you'd love to share or get some insights on, please put them in the comments. I'd love to see them, and I happily respond to every comment that we do receive on the channel. So, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye for now.